I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. All commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Engel, who is excused. We did meet in executive session to discuss matters of personnel, real estate, and litigation. We'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, and I would ask that tonight's pledge be led by Jody Rabarczyk.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. I see a sea of green over here. Stage left. This is the time in the agenda for petitions, complaints, and any comments from citizens. So does anybody wish to address the board tonight? Russ?
No.
No, you're good? Okay. All right, hearing none, we'll move on in the agenda. Approval of minutes, February 13th, 2020, regular meeting.
so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the February 27th workshop meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports of committees, buildings and grounds. Commissioner Rothrock.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is a solar alternative energy certificate aggregator agreement that we're going to be looking at tonight. It's been prepared that deals with selling the energy credits for our new solar energy array. So we're going to talk about that later. Also, our Building and Grounds Committee met with the staff and the Public Safety Director on the 18th of February to discuss improving security here at the Administration Building. And we developed some ideas, including putting a window in an office so that we can keep an eye on the lobby. Really no view of the lobby this time. And adding security cameras and monitors and a few other things. And I believe we're working on getting cost estimates for that. Is that correct, Andy?
That is correct, Commissioner.
And that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you. Budget and Finance, Commissioner Sanderson.
No report yet, but as we have done in the past, we'll probably get together in late April or early May. First quarter being done, we'll start looking at the summer. So I don't think we need to put together a date yet, but maybe in April we'll pick a date.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Napper, Public Works.
Yes, Mr. President. In the month of February, Public Works personnel performed daily checks on the pumping stations and checked overflow boxes. The staff flushed and cut 17,000 feet of sewer line and televised the main sanitary sewer system. Commissioners, please feel free to forward any calls or complaints concerning potholes, roadway repairs to the attention of Public Works Director Nate Spriggs. Mr. President, as a final note, staff performed maintenance on the walking bridge at the Veterans Park. This ends my report, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Rabarczyk.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next scheduled yard waste pickup by Penn Waste will be conducted Saturday, March 21st. Please place all materials at the curb prior to 6 a.m. on the day of collection. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Administration Personnel, Commissioner Napper.
No report, sir.
Thank you. Police, Commissioner Engel's not here. Commissioner Johnson, you have anything? Report. Okay, thank you. Fire and EMS, Commissioner Fleming.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Recreation, Commissioner Johnson.
No report.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. There was a Planning Commission meeting on the 24th of February. There were 3 items on the agenda. One was tabled prior to the meeting. The other 2 items were, there was presentations more of an informational nature on the houses at Oakhurst Commons in Ward 2 and Straywind Farm subdivision plan in Ward 9. But additional information will be coming on those, so no action was taken at that meeting. There also was a zoning hearing board meeting on the 4th of March. There were 2 items on the agenda. The first regarded a request for variance to allow for a accessory structure that would exceed the maximum height of 15 feet. That request was denied by the board. And the other item was the Brent Miles Harrisburg Gardens, which was an appeal of a determination from the zoning officer that the property was in violation of an ordinance regarding improper expansion of a non-conforming use. This was probably the third or fourth time that that was heard. They had a lot of witnesses. It was a long, involved, sort of trial-like thing. But a decision was finally reached at that meeting, and the appeal was denied. I expect we probably have not heard the last of it. The zoning hearing board made that decision. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Visit agreements. First up, Solar Renewable Energy, LLC, and this is the aggregator agreement. Kratzer?
Yes, as Commissioner Rothrock had mentioned, before you this evening is an agreement between the Susquehanna Township and Solar Renewable Energy, LLC, which relates to the aggregation and sale of solar alternative energy credits that are generated by virtue of operation of our solar system here on this building, the building behind us, and then the building on the Public Works garage. The agreement contemplates quarterly sales of the SRECs as they're generated. The price paid to SRE in exchange for negotiating the sale is a 5% commission. The solicitor has reviewed the agreement. The solicitor has some minor modifications to some of the language in the agreement, but overall is comfortable with the agreement as written. So if the board is comfortable, we're seeking a motion this evening to authorize execution of the agreement subject to the review and approval of the township solicitor after those minor modifications are made.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded with the condition that it meets final approval with the solicitor. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Vehicle for sale. 2013 Ford Taurus. Authorization to advertise.
So this is a vehicle coming out of the police fleet, and we're seeking authorization to advertise via municipal bid for the sale of the vehicle.
I make a motion that we authorize to advertise.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Janitorial services bid.
So yes, you had, some time ago, you had authorized the release of a bid for purposes of obtaining janitorial services. The bids were due last week. We received 2 responses, one from the incumbent provider, Finishing Touch Cleaning Service, and another from a competitor. After review of the bids, the current provider, Finishing Touch Cleaning Service, is the apparent low responsible and responsive bidder. And we're recommending entering into an agreement with them for the provision of that service. The dates of the agreement would start as of April 1st of this year and would continue through December 31st of 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Did you get that, Janine? Commissioner Sanderson. Second was Commissioner Johnson. Well, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, fire apparatus for sale.
So we have, as you know, we've for about the past 6 months, we've been marketing the availability of a 2002 KME heavy rescue truck for sale. We have a letter of intent, a letter of interest, an offer before us this evening, which is in the amount of $105,000 from the city of Thomasville, North Carolina. Based on the local market pricing, as well as discussions with the broker that was involved in listing, the price is competitive for a piece of apparatus of that age and that vintage. So we've replaced this apparatus, so this is excess or surplus apparatus, and we're seeking authorization this evening to enter into an agreement of sale for purposes of that sale.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions of the manager?
What is the selling price, Dave?
$105,000. So that'll be redeposited into the fire fund and used for fire operations, as well as offsetting the cost of some of the new equipment that was purchased to replace it.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 20-03, which is an ordinance for the placement of signs restricting truck traffic on Mountain View Road and Blue Ridge Road.
So moved.
Second.
Been seconded. We've had a discussion on this, yeah. Is
You done.
there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Kratzer?
Nothing else further, Mr. President.
If there are no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 20R03, reaffirming the township's renewal of the emergency operations plan of Dauphin County.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 20R04, which authorizes the township manager to sign and submit an application for traffic signal approval, signal modification to PennDOT for the intersection of Walnut Street and 36th Street / Fox Street.
So moved.
Six-word issue.
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments?
Well, I have a question. What exactly are we talking about? Signal modification?
It's a signal permit modification, so it really relates to signage. Is that correct?
Yes, the intersection of 36 and Walnut is very congested with overhead wires. If you're sitting at 36th Street looking south onto Fox Street, right by the car wash, there's a no turn on red sign, but it is almost completely obliterated by overhead wires.
Okay.
So what this authorization is doing is amending the signal permit to allow us to install more visible no turn on red signs.
Okay, thanks for explaining that for me.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 20R05, authorizing the submission of an Act 101, Section 902 grant to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Mr. Kratzer, do you want to?
I don't know,
Line that a little
Nate,
bit.
are you, is Nate here? You want to speak to this, or Betsy? I don't know if you want to provide additional.
This is for a DEP grant that we apply for every 2 years for equipment that can be used for composting. So we're requesting 2 leaf blowers, the purchase of 2 new leaf blower or leaf vacuum equipment that the driver can control from inside the truck. So it's a 10% match that the township has to provide.
And what are the grant requests? The amount of the grant request,
I did not.
dollar amount.
I think it's one.
Yeah, I'm trying to look that up quick.
The amount for
Yeah.
the trucks, they were about 330,000, if I remember correctly.
Right. So the township would have to provide 3,500 or 35,000.
10%.
10%. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, 34,185. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't we just buy a big sort of tow-behind leaf vacuum?
That was all grant money again.
That was all grant money?
Yeah, that was the
Well,
last round.
But I had a lot of compliments on the leaf collection and the scheduling and so forth of that this year. I rarely get compliments on that kind of thing. But I'm wondering why we need additional equipment.
Because we can't adequately complete our routes, the way we should. And it's a grant, so it's gonna help versus,
Sure.
you guys receiving all the phone calls that
The grant has to be used for,
It has to be
this
used
type of
for
thing?
composting.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So it's on a 10% contribution for $300,000 as well.
Yeah, and it's replacing equipment that's old too.
Yeah,
that-
so we're gonna get rid of some of our walk beside equipment and our trailers,
Okay,
so we can get rid of some of that old stuff.
okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Reports. Mr. Kratzer, do you have anything?
I have nothing further, Mr. President.
Anything from the Law Bureau tonight?
One thing from the Law Bureau, so if Betsy could come back up. I received this afternoon a communication from Evans Engineering
regarding a property owned by Richard and Connie Huber on North Progress Avenue. They have a preliminary final land development plan. They're asking for an extension of time for action until May 29th, 2020. I've talked to Betsy about it. Betsy indicates that the plan has some issues that could be worked out, and an extension of time would help both parties work out issues and bring it to a reasonable position. So I would ask for a motion to grant that extension of time until May 29th.
So moved. Second?
Been seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's fantastic,
Thanks,
Betsy. Thank you.
Oh, Betsy. I'm sorry, Mr. Grubik, do you have anything?
Our report is in your packet, Commissioners. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them at this time.
Good. Anybody?
Yep.
You're off the hook, Bob. School Board, Commissioner Fleming.
Yes, Mr. President, just briefly, I do want to say that the school district has been excellent. The administration has been excellent in its communication of the COVID-19, also known as coronavirus, in terms of their the actions they plan to take, and just informing parents about the pandemic now and what they are doing in preparation. So I want to thank the administration for that. And then just quickly, the high school will be performing its musical this weekend, the Addams Family musical. So show times are Friday, March 13th at 7:30 at the high school, Saturday, March 14th at 7:30, and then a Sunday performance at 2 p.m. on March 15th. Tickets are $10.
I was just going to ask you, would that still happen because of the coronavirus?
Oh, they canceled it. Oh, I apologize. I didn't see that. Okay, thank you. All right, well, sure, it would have been great. So maybe, hopefully it's a postponement and not a cancellation. So,
I think they canceled
yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I didn't catch that. Well, that concludes my report.
Authority, Mr. Sanderson.
No report, thank you.
We have finalized, I think the authority has finalized a credit policy. Right. So much. All right, Indian Wheels, Commissioner Barcheck.
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Shade Tree, Commissioner Pine.
Well, Mr. President, no report, but I did want, while a good number of the highway crew here, public works crew are here, thank them for those who worked on the tree plantings. That we've got some really good feedback about that, and for those who were involved, thank you. So, President.
All right, thank you. Communications. Commissioner Pine, we have a newsletter coming up, eh?
Yes, Mr. President, I don't have the date in front of me, but I believe that was targeted originally for May. So. Thank you.
Parks and Rec, anything, Commissioner Johnson?
Nothing.
All right, thanks. All right. Boards, new business, boards and commissions for 2020. Any RAC advisory suggestions at this point?
I think I may have a recommendation at the next meeting.
Okay,
Seal that up.
great. And Shade Tree Commission. We have, I got hit up today in the Giant by a longtime acquaintance who lives in Harris Hills, and good guy. I've known him for a long time. And he has, Commissioner Pine, just thank you guys for the work you did on planting the trees. This fellow was one of the ones who received the tree as part of that effort. So he's very eager to, he's very thankful, and he's very eager to join the commission if the board is so inclined. His name is Steve Drackler. He lives in Harris Hills in the mighty 7th Ward.
Yes, Mr. President, I know Mr. Drackler as well, and I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Stephen Drackler to the Shade Tree Commission.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. It's the most productive trip to the grocery store. I hate going to the grocery store, especially when there's no certain items. Commissioner comments, do we have any?
Mr. President,
No, not me.
I was just going to say, we were a little more delayed coming out because we were getting a very comprehensive update from Chief Martin about the coronavirus and what the township's prepared to do. And I want to thank him for that. And while we were still in meeting back there, Commissioner Fleming sent us an email from the Boroughs Association about the coronavirus and municipal response by some or many municipalities. And I think this is just so important to emphasize here while we have the public forum, that at the time that Boroughs Association advisory was prepared in Pennsylvania, there were 16 confirmed cases of the coronavirus. And I was checking a news report that there are now 22 cases. And that report was prepared earlier today, and I'm sure it was accurate from the information they had, but they're now saying there's 22 cases, 13 of which there are in Montgomery County, which is, the governor just today declared that is the epicenter for Pennsylvania coronavirus cases. And so I'm especially appreciative to what the township staff is doing to help prepare our community and, instill the right prevention measures. So, thanks.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else have a
Yeah,
comment?
just please be careful and wash your hands. Part of that briefing was the fact that the virus stays on surfaces much longer. There's a lot longer incubation period, so it is particularly dangerous. So just be careful and limit your contact with others. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face, which I'm sort of doing now. So just be mindful of all those precautions.
Anybody else?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Sanderson.
I move to adopt the report of bills paid in the amount of $990,879.66.
Been moved and seconded by Commissioner Johnson. Questions, comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Motion to
carries.
adjourn.
Moved. Is there a second to that?
Oh, second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments before we adjourn? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carried. We are out of here. Thank you, everybody.